Greetings!
I am the captain,
And I'm Chappers.
and today, actually I've just flown back from the NAMM show, so I'm a little bit jet lagged, so I apologise for that straight away. But to try and get me out of my jet laggedness, I've nicked some amplifiers out the store that I've been meaning to demo for the last 6 months, because they're so cool, but we never got round to it.
Very retro, aren't they?
Super retro.
In a good way.
This is a brand called Tone King, made by a one-man band guy out in America called Mark Bartell. He's been making amplifiers for a long time, and he has his own brand called Tone King, and he makes 3 amplifiers basically: the Imperial, the Metropolitan, and another amp that we'll bring in a second called the Galaxy, that are all kind of throwbacks to very vintagey kind of Fender circuits. Some of the colours and designs reminiscent of some of the sort of very space age kind of designs that were around in the 60s. So if you think about all those kind of cartoons like the Jetsons and things like that, they all had TVs and cars and everything that were sort of this, what they thought was going to be the future.
Aren't they?
Yeah,
Very stylish.
so they've got that kind of retro futuristic kind of vibe about them. So let's start off with the Imperial.
It's incredibly loud.
Yes, well, this is the bit, you know, it's a 20-watt 6v6 loaded all tube combo that, as many good tube amplifiers have the tendency to do, sounds like 1,000,000 watts.
Yeah.
Rather than 20.
It's one of those amplifiers that is a real amplifier for a real working dude or a guy that plays in a band or in a garage or wants to crank up and get valve tones.
Yep.
This isn't really a bedroom type,
No.
you know, dirt amp. You're not going to get that, but it's a great sounding amplifier.
It's a club kind of gigging amplifier. It's a 1x12 speaker. All the speakers that are in these are kind of designed by Mark to his sort of spec. And it's got 2 channels, both relatively sort of clean. There's no sort of master volume, so if you want dirt, you've either got to use a pedal or you've just got to drive the amp quite hard. Got a tremolo on there, which is cool. Big kind of Fendery sort of reverb.
Well, what's interesting is that I think both of these are open back, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
And
Yeah.
yet, despite, I mean, I love open back cabs, but even though it's open back, the forward penetration is something to be admired. Stick, our able-bodied sound man, was cowering behind his cans, as was Dan, because this has got a hell of a punch, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
So let's just, Rob's using his ML2, which is a DiMarzio loaded sort of mahogany body guitar. So
Sacrifice. This is called Sacrifice.
Is it called Sacrifice?
We sacrificed it.
We sacrificed
and then it came
a lot
back
to get it.
alive.
I've basically got the volume set relatively low on this. Obviously on any 20 watt sort of 6v6 loaded amplifier.
Is it 20 watts?
Just 20 watts, yeah. So what you'll find is that the volume control, rather than, it won't be a sort of a nice linear volume control. It'll be something that stays very clean and bassy up to probably 3 or 4 in the volume, and then it'll just start to go into kind of like a cranked, not heavy saturation, but that sort of power amp saturation that you get on sort of smaller tube amplifiers. So I've got the tone controls round about 12 o'clock, tiny bit more bass, a reverb pretty low on sort of again 2 or 3. It's a big reverb on this. It's it'll do that very kind of surf kind of stupid big reverb if you want it. So I've just got it more subtly. And I'll switch the tremolo on. I'll engage the tremolo whilst Rob's kind of playing, because I think that's very sweet.
Yeah, and I'm coil tapped, so we're getting a sort of single coil type tonality from this massive beast.
So we're on what they call the rhythm channel, which is the cleaner of the 2 channels, and then we'll do something on the lead channel as well a little bit after that. So here we go. Think this was
how do you describe
412,
that kind of? Yeah, like when you told me it was 20 watts, I genuinely thought it was a 50-watt combo.
Yeah.
Like the bass resonance, we can all feel it in our bodies, right down deep.
Let's put the tremolo in now, just for again, slightly sort of nothing too fast and nothing too deep, but just enough to give it that real kind of vintagey kind of vibe. You have to, if you're going to use a vibrato or a tremolo effect, it's so important that you get the timing of the pulse to kind of work with the rhythmically how you're playing. Otherwise, it just almost counteracts what you're trying to play, doesn't it?
Bit like. Yeah, I could do that all day long.
Great. That sounds great. Now you can play Albatross. I've asked you like 17 times. You've got to play
All right.
Not that it's Albatross or anything like that.
What can it be called? Giant Seagull.
Giant Seagull.
Now I'm going to play Giant Seagull by
Peter Red.
Peter Greenbaum. That was his real name.
Was it?
Yeah,
my
Peter-
dad was in a band. I told you my dad went to school with Peter Green. Literally, when the first
So your
band,
dad's touched Peter Green, and then he's touched you.
the first band that my dad was ever in at school was in a band with Peter Green.
Wow.
I love how it's got to the point with you and me where he tells you a fact and you think there's a punchline.
No, it's actually true. It's just completely true.
That's
Completely
amazing.
true.
Yeah.
Little Jewish-
always tell when Chappers likes an amplifier because he,
Doesn't stop playing.
doesn't stop playing.
Yeah.
So now we're going to whiz over to what we call the lead channel, which isn't. It has no master volume on it, so and we probably don't have the well, we could just turn the shit out of it up here, couldn't we? But we had it up about a third of the way.
It's a little bit like, when you go to a zoo, or actually zoos are cruel. Something like
Another metaphor here that yeah,
if you go to like Longleat and you see the lions all roaming and chilling out and everything, and you think, oh, that looks so cute, you could just like tickle one or stroke one, and you think, I reckon if I tickled the lion, it would just kind of roll over and have a little bit of a tick, but you're not sure.
Yeah.
That's what the volume knob on this amplifier is like.
I'm scared now. There's an EQ control on these Tone King amplifiers that you see on the lead channels of these, called mid-bite, and it's a sort of a tuned boost just to sort of take the amp through from a scooped kind of, not scooped for metal sense, but a scooped kind of very smooth sounding, almost jazzy sort of tones through to a much more kind of like, wow, in your face, going to take your head off sort of thing, rock and roll kind of sound. So actually, do you want to sit here and I'll sit there and then I can just play and whilst we're filming and you can hear the difference. So I'm going to turn the vibrato channel off because we don't really want that with the lead channel. A little bit of reverb. And here we go. So the first thing that you'll hear me doing is scooping the mid bite through from 0 through to maximum. So. What's that like on the bridge humbucker? So that's kind of the. I only had the volume there on about number 3 or something like that, and it goes up to 10. So
it's Class A then, yeah?
Actually, no, I don't think it is. I think it's just. I'd have to double check that in the manual.
That's a hell of a lot louder than a tiny tower or.
Yeah, I mean, it's who knows what mystical guru physics makes up how loud.
I'll tell you who
something
knows.
is.
The Tone King knows.
The Tone King knows.
Actually, we should shout out our friend Louis.
Hey Louis.
Hey
Saw
Louis.
you at NAMM show. How you doing, man? It was nice to meet you.
Brofist.
So, yeah, I mean, strictly speaking, obviously, sorry if I'm teaching you to suck eggs here, but obviously the scientific measurement of volume is decibels, and there's a whole heap more ingredients go into that pudding than just the power of an amplifier. Different types of transformers, different types of speakers, different types of components, and everything. So although wattage I find is normally more of a guide of headroom than necessarily power. So higher powered wattage more a guide of headroom rather than volume. So higher powered amplifiers will typically stay cleaner, louder, and have a different kind of a bass end characteristic, whereas lower powered amplifiers will drive more and will sound more compressed and kind of...
It's almost like you've got 50 years of family experience in the music retail industry.
Yeah, who'd have thought it? So if we really... we might die here. I'm going to go up to 8 just to see what happens. So...
Are you sure about this?
And
Let me reset my levels.
Okay.
We'll play them.
But we have a small audience here of some people.
Not much longer.
We've got Becky, Leon, Ed, Dan, Pablo.
I bet you this isn't that much louder. I bet it's just heavily more saturated.
It's the number of people it kills.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's not a volume. It's not a volume. It's a death toll.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Let's go. Ready?
Ready?
Just a bit of feedback and everything.
It's controllable. It isn't like out of control.
It's not
feedback.
off. Yeah, it's not off the scale kind of loud.
And you're right.
It's,
It didn't get ridiculously loud. It got more and more saturated.
Yeah. So I suspect probably the best way to use this rhythm channel, if you're one of those kind of players that's handy, you know, I was going to say handy with his knob then, but you know what I mean. One of those players that kind of, you know, will drop the volume output of the guitar to sort of clean things up. I suspect you probably find this rhythm channel very, very usable.
Yes. I really like this amp.
So that's the Imperial. Now, of course, my favourite feature of all is that you can have this amp in 3 different colours. So one for every kind of pair of socks that you own. But you've got a turquoisey colour, which is this one, obviously. A red one, I think, if I remember rightly, and a black one. But each with the white kind of top and the piping. And
I like it with the white and the sort of blue and the Imperial name because it reminds me of Stormtroopers.
So that's the Imperial.
And how much does that retail for?
At the moment? At the moment, lots. £1,500, something like that.
Really?
Pablo will tell me in a minute. But yeah, this is another one of the kind of the little boutique amplifiers. If I order these, typically I have to wait about 6 months to them arrive. I suspect that I suspect it's the sort of amplifier that Mark maybe produces 3 or 4 a week, something like that, maybe. And that's why it takes so long, you know, have to wait so long to get one. But Pablo's just looking that up, so we'll go to an intermission.
Do you like coffee?
Yes, I love coffee.
I love coffee too. Sometimes I need a good coffee in the morning to wake me up and get me out of my bed to get to Anderton's.
Yeah.
What kind of coffee do you drink, Lee?
I drink Maplewood coffee.
Maplewood.
Riding through the
tastes so
glade.
good.
Maplewood. So, this amplifier sells for £1,695, including
Imperial
VAT,
credits.
Imperial credits.
That's English pounds
That's
of
English
money.
pounds. And that
not
price
weight.
was brought to you in January 2012. So if it's different when you go to our website, that's because we're not in January 2012 anymore.
It was brought to you by the letter money.
So, we're back, and now we're plugged into a slightly newer combo from the Tone King range called the Metropolitan. And basically, this is a 40-watt all-tube combo. And the main difference, really, between this one and the Imperial, other than the extra power, is one of Mark Bartel's kind of coolest inventions is a different take on how you would use an attenuator or a master volume. You can read a little bit more about this on Mark's website if you want, which is just tonekingamps.com, I think. But he talks about experimenting with all kinds of master volume circuits and attenuation circuits and things like that. And he thinks that he's come up with the best one of all, which he calls a 4-phase attenuation circuit. And essentially I have a control for that for my clean channel and a control for that for my lead channel. And I can essentially
So you could have a
adjust.
really buttery clean, or you could have a really hot
I can have
lead.
heaps of headroom for the clean, very little headroom. So I'm adjusting, apparently according to the manual, I'm adjusting the sort of the power output from anything from, I think, 0.1 of a watt up to 40 watts. And as I said, I can do that separately for the lead and the rhythm channel. So that's a kind of cool feature. Other than that, it's just a straightforward 2-channel amplifier. You get a big difference depending on whether you attenuate the input gain to either its high or low setting. So low will give you more headroom, high will drive the first gain stage harder. Then the clean channel, or rhythm channel he calls it, is just volume, treble and bass with a brightness switch, and the lead channel is volume, tone and mid-byte, does the same as what the mid-byte on the Imperial
And
does.
are the majority of these features foot switchable? Or are they?
No, apart from the reverb and the channel, that's the only foot switchable bits. So if I show you now the difference between, I'll just do the high and low kind of input gain. So this is set to low for sort of, maximum sort of clean headroom. and what I've got is I've got the sort of the phase 4 sort of attenuation turned off, essentially turned all the way up. So if you like, I'm not attenuating the power section at all.
Oh, so can you do that a bit by bit as I'm playing that riff?
Yeah, sure.
And it should get more and more compressed, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we've got almost no volume now.
That's point 1
Yeah,
of an
so
attenuation.
kind of almost makes this a little, almost like a home use sound.
It's great.
So
It's still got the warmth at the low.
that's what he says in his little explanation on his website. Is it's again really, I think the holy grail of all attenuation is how do I get the amp to sound like it does when it's loud, but actually when it's quiet. And I guess that's the holy grail, isn't it? And he believes that his circuit sort of achieves that. But we'll try it on the drive channel as well, see how it works. So now I'm going to switch over to the higher gain setting for the input stage, and you'll notice straight away there's a lot less headroom and it starts to break up. So. And that's probably a better setting to actually demonstrate the effect of the attenuation on here. So if I really do drop this down to sort of like, you know, a very low output setting and then drive the input stage, bearing in mind we're still on the clean channel here. So that's the kind of clean channel. We've also got a brightness switch. I'll go back to the low setting, just give you a quick demo of what that sounds like. So this is without. A little bit of extra presence added there. So, right, we'll whiz over to the lead channel now. And again, I'll use the attenuation circuit at the end here again to allow me to drive the lead channel a little bit harder without kind of blowing everyone up in here. We'll use the mid bite again to sort of, well, in fact, I'll sweep the mid bite through so that you can hear it. I'm going to switch back to the high gained input stage now, so we're driving the amp a little harder.
that's good.
Yeah, so this is typically, I've got the volume here about halfway up, and I've got the attenuation just under halfway as well. So we're getting a reasonably sort of saturated sound from both the preamp and the power amp stage. We're just kind of not letting all the volume through. And I'll sweep the mid bite round so you can see how it goes from a nice kind of smoother, maybe perhaps more rhythmy kind of sound to something more leady. But there we go.
I didn't expect that at all. That's.
Yeah, it's so.
Wait, do it again.
Well, I was going to say what I'll do this time, if you like, is that was with the volume about halfway up. Now, I still kind of, I'm yet to be 100% convinced by any attenuation circuit. You know, I personally, I don't think there's any substitute just for going, the amp gets loud, it interacts kind of with the guitar, you get all that lovely natural sort of feedback.
Just a
and
great
expression.
master volume.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's, I think you need power, but this is pretty good. So what I'm going to do is, and I don't know how much, I'm going to wait for Stick to give me the sort of the nod to say stop. So I think I'm just going to allow the attenuation to get louder and louder, or if until Stick goes, that's it, we're clipping the mics now, and then I'll stop. But you can kind of hear, perhaps, although you're going to hear it getting louder, but listen for the way the sort of the bass end and everything changes as I'm doing that. So first of all, we've got, sorry mate.
Does it become a buttery biscuit base?
It becomes a buttery biscuit bass. A buttery biscuit bass. A buttery biscuit bass.
Butter. I love
Captain's woken up.
I love the bass.
That's because it's now actually about 10 o'clock in the morning in my world, so I should be
About
kind
the
of...
strip
In
club,
my
Yeah,
world.
pretty much, yeah. Righty-ho, let's go. I mean, that's obviously maximally attenuated there. What were your? I mean, could you see yourself perhaps using it at that sort of volume?
Do it,
perhaps
do it.
studio mic
Put it back
again?
up.
I won't have it quite so low, but.
It's good. It's good. It's a little bit saggy
Yeah.
and flappy, but it's very, very good.
It's-
The other thing is, we haven't said it looks badass.
Yeah, another very cool. I mean, all Mark's amps are, you know, they're proper throwbacks to the
It
sort of, you know,
looks-
the
looks the
60s,
money,
really.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look very cool. So that's the Metropolitan.
Just out of interest, how far did you release the attenuation when you were letting it?
I managed to. It goes to 10, and we managed to get it to about 8 before it started clipping all the preamps and everything. So I better just tell you before we stop recording, if you would like to purchase the Metropolitan, you will need about 2,400 pounds.
But if you're a rocking blues dude in a band and you want to make a statement to sound great, this could do it for you.
Yeah, Mark Bartell says he reckons the Metropolitan is his most versatile amplifier to date. So anyway, if you like the sound of this, come to the store, check it out. But we're going to move on now to the daddy of the Tone King range.
We're back with the entire galaxy contained inside a box.
We certainly are. Yes, I haven't shrunk, and the sofa didn't get smaller. We basically just pulled the big one out. Oh, hello. Full of innuendo, this video. This is the Tone King Galaxy. Not only is it much the same colour as the Imperial that we tried earlier on, it's very much the same sort of preamp style, but this time in a head that is a 6L6 loaded 60 watt head into a 212 cabinet, which looks amazing.
And it's got a bass kick like a mule.
So
Mule.
Think now, rather than the Imperial, which I think kind of old Fender Champs and things like that. Now kind of think Fender 65 kind of twin, that sort of thing. So much more bass end, much more headroom, and quite a lot louder.
Yeah.
So if if you're playing some bigger gigs or you want something where you can really let rip a bit, then something like the Galaxy is very cool. And when Chappers does the sweep overs, you've got to see the way this cabinet is kind of like slightly skinnier at the bottom and it goes out. It looks just the nuts. So I'm not going to spend too much time because I said it's pretty much the same preamp section that we had on the Imperial. So let's just hear a nice clean sound.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's big, clean sound.
Crispy.
Sounds great. Again, we don't have the attenuation on here like we did on the Metropolitan, so all we can do to crunch that up is turn it up. So
Turn it up, buddy.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Better not do too much of that. I think we've just done some structural damage to the building there. Right, so that's the clean channel. We've got a vibrato effect on here as well, so we'll just have that for like 5 seconds while Rob does something tasteful. I do like this. I
good,
love loud amplifiers.
It's a very physical sounding amplifier.
And then we've got our lead channel, which again doesn't have a master volume, so we can't really, it's not going to be super high gain unless you've got plenty of headroom on that you can play it loud. But we have got this super cool mid-bite. How are you liking that mid-bite thing? I think it really works well. The tone control that dials.
Yeah, I like it. I haven't really had enough time to dial it in where I'd put it.
Where would you like me to put it for you, Steve? I find that somewhere between number 6 and 7 just hits the spot.
That's probably the right place for the mid bite.
Right.
It's great, isn't it?
It's got some welly, hasn't it, this thing? Do we want to do any last sort of tone on this? Have we got anything?
Well, like, does it just get gainier the more you drive the crap out of it?
I'm afraid so.
Then drive the crap out of it just one more time, just a little bit more. Let's just see how it breaks up with sort of a blues liquid clean. I reckon you could gig with it.
You think so? What, Wembley? Okay, cool. Well, that's the Galaxy. It's £2,200 for the head, and the cabinet is £850. So there you go, a £3,000 or change from £3,000.
Change. It's good.
So here we go. I hope you've enjoyed our Tone King demos. I think that's me and
Chappers.
Chappers out. Yeah, I was going to say me and the captain, but that's me.
Oh, I'm the new captain. Captain Chappers. I own Anderton's now. Everything is free.